and then she could.
Please stand for the flag. Pledge allegiance to the States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to do that. Yeah. Welcome to the October 11th, 2022 Alexandria Bay Village Board meeting. Roll call, please.
Trustee Strauss.
Here.
Trustee Dorigo.
Here.
Trustee Coleman. Here. Trustee Dema. Here. Mayor Jarvis.
Here. Public concerns. Open the floor to public concerns. Yes, sir.
I had a couple issues. I wrote you a letter, I think it's your last board meeting,
Yes.
and asked you to review the area that was blasted in front of my house.
Yes, sir.
The ground is sinking again, and the street has sinkholes along the curb. Somebody's gonna get hurt. So I just wanted to be noted, I just wanted to publicly state that I believe there is an issue there, and I wanna make sure that the board of directors is aware of it, that I believe there's an issue for people that unload out of their car, the guests. My family was here, it was a real problem. I can't cut the grass anymore, and I don't know, I think I'm getting even more water in my basement. So if there was any question about the damage, you can look at the photos, because the blasting mats were 15 feet tall in front of my house, and I watched the entire thing, so I know there was a lot of disruption there. So I'm just trying to see if there's something we can do.
I'll meet with you this week with Jerk, if that's okay with you, sir.
Pardon me, sir?
I'll meet with you this week if that's okay.
Oh, that's fine, that's fine. Another thing, and Molly might have already taken care of this, but the planning board, meeting notes are not published. And I would like to have a copy of those meeting notes. So if we can get those published, it would be great.
Okay, that will be through.
The secretary wasn't there. I realized it's supposed to be done within some short period of time, so this is on me for not having them already, as I mentioned before.
And also the public docks, bathrooms. What's the status? Are those back in order? And my family was here this year. I was really embarrassed. We came to the dock. I had 9 of my family from out of town, and we opened the door of those Johnny on the spots, and the feces was up out of the water, and it was disgusting. And I was so embarrassed to have my family here.
In the bathroom?
On the Johnny on the spots on the dock were just
The
absolutely disgusting.
porta potties?
Yeah, and we can't repeat that. This just, I just.
Those were there temporary when the rotary was
I understand.
refurbishing. The sad part is.
My question is, have the bathrooms been repaired?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
They were there for like 2 weeks.
Okay, but during the summer, it was a real problem. Okay, we talked about that. Is there anything that we can do about the fire alarm going off all hours of night for an ambulance call? I understand if we have a public emergency, it's a way to alert people. I measure the dBs in my living room every day that it goes off, and I range from 109 to 112 dBs. I don't know whether you know it or not, but the threshold of pain is 90, and OSHA is even lower than that. All I would like to know is does it have to ring every time an ambulance goes out? Because what that tells me is if the fire alarm doesn't go off, then the ambulance isn't going to go out. I don't happen to believe that.
I know that the fire whistle goes off for fire calls, and it doesn't go off for every ambulance call.
Sam, the only time they ring the siren is if they can't get enough help on our pagers for an ambulance call, and they need help to, like, they might need extra bodies to lift somebody up, then they'll use the siren to try to get more people at the scene.
Do you have electronic notification?
Yeah.
You look at Center for a landing zone.
Yeah, cause then we gotta get the
You
trucks.
can't do that over a radio?
No,
You're talking to a pilot.
it's automatic through Jefferson County. When we have a helicopter coming in here, it's automatic, they tone us out as a fire call.
So my gripe is not with you, is with.
No, and
Jefferson
the thing
County.
is, listen, I just live up the street from you. Listen, the other night at 1 o'clock in the morning, I mean, it's great, I mean, I understand too, it's just, it is what it is, and I don't know if.
I'm just looking for a little teeny bit of sympathy somewhere in Webster's, okay?
I'm trying to give it to you, Sam.
Because my only option now is to ask a FOIL request for how many times that alarm has gone off for the last 18 years. And I'm going to an audiologist, and I'm gonna find out if this is affecting my hearing. And I've read plenty, and I know that there are many lawsuits, even from within the fire department, for hazard to the men that work them. And so I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We can check to see if, can it be lowered or what,
Can we
for
turn
the
it
state.
down? Can we not ring it for things that are not emergencies? I mean, the other one goes off for, I don't know, another 2 minutes after the one at my house quits.
The one down at the barn,
I don't know, I'm not sure exactly where it is, I know I can hear it.
The one here.
you want to.
So,
Yeah.
I
No.
just wondered if we really need all of this. It adds a lot of anxiety to my
Uh-huh.
life, and it's very disruptive. Now, the firemen, they've chosen to have that as part of their lifestyle. I did not. And I feel like I should be entitled to some peace and quiet, and that's all I'm asking you about. Okay? The other thing I'd like to mention is, when there's a special use permit, I think that it ought to be mandatory for the board. I'm assuming that you have jurisdiction over the planning board. I mean, doesn't this board, isn't it supersede the power of the planning board? Am I right or wrong?
No.
So you're autonomous, they're autonomous?
Yes, the planning board's designated by the village board. The planning board's jurisdiction is governed in the village law. The village board doesn't have the authority to overrule the planning board.
So the village law tells the planning board what their rights are and their powers.
Well, you're gonna find the village law, the general municipal law, New York State Constitution, and then you're gonna have the village zoning that will all interplay. But the village board doesn't have control to say supersede the village planning board.
Is there something in particular you're talking about?
Well, yeah, I'm saying that if you have to, look, I'm all for having a community that suits everyone. That's the idea of community. So we go through all these troubles to make zoning laws and to make sign regulations and to make all these regulations, and then we go completely against them. Like, we're gonna build a daycare center across the street from my son's house. No one was notified, no one. And I understand, it's in there, it says they were published, the dates aren't right, but it was published in the newspaper. That's fine, but what happens if you're out of town? You people, better than anyone, should know what kind of hectic, life you have here, June, July, and August. And you don't have time to keep track of every single little item. All I'm proposing is that we make a regulation that anybody within 1,000 feet of a special use permit needs to be notified when it's going to affect their property. I think that's perfectly reasonable.
And the code says, what, for notification of adjoining properties, is the term?
By law, we do not have to notify adjoining owners on a site plan, because we're not changing the law. If there's something to do with a variance, we're overriding the law, and adjoining property owners have to be notified, plus the notification the TI's done. This was a site plan review, special use permit. all the adjoining landowners received or mailed a notice. Now, once I mail them, I don't have any control on it, but they go out approximately 10 to 12 days before the hearing.
Well, no, none of us knew about it. I mean, I found it in the newspaper, I know he didn't know about it. I talked to, Jim Costello, he never was notified, he's on a border of that property. Jim Cummings, of course, was on the board, and he didn't say anything to us or neighbors. The other neighbor on the other side was not notified. So I don't understand that, you're saying that you're supposed to notify people, then we should be notified.
I'm gonna ask this, are you a neighbor or are you adjoining to the property?
Neighbor. Across the street, they're not adjoining.
So the law says that they have to be adjoining properties.
Yes.
So my property has to touch their property, and therefore I must be notified.
And in this case, it was a site plan review, and we're not required to notify anyone. We do it as a courtesy.
The village board, if you'd like, you can take a look at your zoning, and if you want to change it, you're the legislative body, and if the gentleman's concerns are ones that a majority of the board shares, you can change your zoning, you can adjust it to provide different types of notice to different distances. Legislatively, it can be done.
That would be especially good for, we're talking over 17,000 square foot development that is, taking place, within steps of my backyard, that is gonna cause all kinds of infrastructure change for a incapable roadway, and, a road that we already have lots of drainage problems, and just the fact that my yard, which already floods 2 or 3 times a year as it is, this is a substantial change in the neighborhood, and, it just would be nice if we could be, considered, worthy of being notified.
I don't think there was a courtesy in planning this kind of a project in a residential neighborhood, just because of a lot of things. I mean, the driveway exits almost center of our yard, and first of all, there are so many things in the site plan that are not accounted for, like drainage and entrance and type of pavement and distance from the property line and all kinds of other things. All I'm saying is, let's be fair about this. Let's just see if we can't keep the neighborhood the way the neighborhood wants it to be. And I'm just saying that it could be so easily done to be out of town for that 5 days after you have 5 days?
12, 10?
Yeah, 5 days after, the notice goes out. I mean, you could be gone on a long weekend. I just think it would be fair to the community members if they had some say in how their neighborhoods were treated. I had one other question. This is strictly informational, and I appreciate the time. Does the hospital pay, real estate and, town and county taxes? Does anybody know the answer to that? Do they pay the same water rates that we pay for water and that the other businesses in town pay for water? I'm just curious. I don't know how to find that out.
Hospitals by virtue of the real property tax law are tax exempt, but that's going to be dealt with through Article 4 or 5 of the real property tax law through the town, but hospitals are exempt. But as far as water use or sewer use, that's a different matter governed by your own use laws here in the village.
Hospital falls under a certain rate. I couldn't tell you exactly what their water sewer rate is,
Okay.
but, we can get you.
I don't know offhand either.
We can get you the
I would just like to
information.
know, in terms of the taxes, so in other words, every time we build another hospital tax, we add a infrastructure load on our community, but yet we receive no taxes or no benefits other than the fact that the hospital is there, which is great. I'm not disputing that, but I'm just wondering, the way money is today and the way things are being operated, are we really shooting ourselves in the foot here? I don't know. That's just something I thought of. I just question how many exempt businesses we're gonna have. Somebody's gotta pay the bills here. You know?
Your school, your churches,
Yeah,
the hospital.
but they happen to have quite a nice chunk of the most valuable property in town, which could be producing a lot of income had it been used for other purposes. So I'm just
Thank you,
saying, it's something to think about. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Any other public concern? Mr. Stewart?
Yes. If you notice, I've been cleaning up Bethune Street quite a bit, ever since I bought the place. It always bothered me on how it appeared with its appearance. So I went through and revamped my whole property. Now, I'm driving down the street on the opposite side of the road next to Jen Simpson's, and I'm looking at a dilapidated porch, looks like there's dead bodies inside. There's paint falling off the windows, paint on the ground, wondering if it's lead paint. But you think that person could clean that porch up and do something with that house? It's a blue house next to Jen Simpson. I believe it's Mark Reynolds' house. He really needs to do something because the porch looks like should be condemned. And
That's on Bethune Street.
yes, and I'd really like to have that place cleaned up. That's it, thank you.
Anyone else in the public concern? Oh, correspondence.
Dan.
Sam, you got-
I'm sorry.
Can I add just one thing, sir?
No, yes, yeah.
What was I gonna say? Boy, don't get old. Yeah. Oh, as long as we're talking about dilapidated buildings, what is the status on the house on the street where Garlock's is, the burnout that's still out there in the air? It's been there, what, 2-3 years?
I think somebody was working in there.
It was bought on tax sale, and he's been in there cleaning it, it's boarded up.
It's on Washington Street?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's been purchased and they're in the process of going through and remodeling it. They have, I believe, we asked them to secure it, and I believe the windows at one time had plywood over them so people cannot get into it, which would be required to consider it a safe building and wouldn't fall under the unsafe building law with it, but the people are in the process. There's no timetable, they don't need a zoning permit because they're not changing the footprint, they need a building permit from the county.
I've seen people in and out of there working.
I have never seen anybody there.
yeah, it looks a lot better than it did a year and a half ago.
Well, they
At least
got
they're keeping the
the
grass
all
mowed
grass
too.
is down,
Huh?
yeah.
Yeah, the grass is staying down now too, so that was a big,
That's-
big issue there.
There's no.
Yeah, the maintenance has been a
Yeah,
real problem with
They got it all cleaned up, like you say, it's a lot better than it was.
Well, that doesn't make it good, that just makes it,
Yeah, I mean, it could be a lot worse than it is, so.
I know.
He had just bought it on a tax sale about 2 months ago, so,
So that's all, they've had it for a couple months.
just a couple months is all that it went through on that.
Jefferson County Code Office knew about it, they came and inspected it. I don't receive a report, but they were aware that there was a fire there. So, they would be the ones that would have to enforce the state building maintenance code and not the village.
Anyone else? Correspondence, water sewer rate change letter. Attention Mayor Jarvis, Village Board, my apologies due to family deaths and illness, I've been unable to attend meetings or assist in the implication of much needed infrastructure improvements for the village municipal water system. Evidently, these necessary costs were not included in a long-range village financial plan. These anticipated costs to village taxpayers are very high. The disintegrated costs for revenue stream to solve this oversight for not enumerated in your letter of 9/26/22. These omissions raise some concerns. Motel, hotel, EDU agreements, exemptions, fire department, military, etc., construction bids, bank loans, timetables, and so forth. My suggestions: more complete cost, payment, analysis, communication, excuse me, bond future repair cost, and community voting options, apply for New York State federal grants, hire a grant writer for all future village improvements. It appears my minimum annual cost for water and sewer EDU will be an additional tax of $444.04, and due to previous mentioned deaths and health considerations, I did not use water at 11 Anthony Street during 21-22. Future use of this, which has been in my family for about 60 years, is a summer home for my family members. I have been spending time, energy, money to maintain the property, to enhance the beauty of the village and the Thousand Islands. Thank you for listening. Robert Miller. From Hearts for Youth, dear board members, Hearts for Youth are requesting permission to use the community room for two separate events. Our first event is Thursday, November 3rd, for an event time of 3 to 4:30, with use of room request, set up, tear down from 2:30 to 5. This event is an intergenerational program with boomer movers, participants, and other seniors in the area, and school students grades 4th and up, where the two groups come together for board games and interactions. Second is event for Monday, December 5th, for event time of 10 a.m. to 12, with use request set up, tear down at 9 to 1. This is a holiday celebration with boomer mover group. For this, we also request use of the kitchen area. We appreciate your time and consideration. Welcome any questions. Please feel to reach us. This is from Mary Beth Jarvis, incoming Hearts for Youth Office Manager, and Amy Hillebrand, outgoing Hearts for Youth Manager.
What was the first date?
First date is November 3rd, Thursday. This is for the seniors and the grade kids to get together and do board games and interaction here in the community room.
Do you need a motion to allow that to happen, or?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to allow Hearts for Youth use the community room on the dates mentioned.
I'll second it.
Motion by trustee Palmer, second by trustee Stroud, to allow Hearts for Youth for, is that for one or both?
All of it, whatever they sign.
For both, events. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Now, are those dates good? Okay.
Didn't we check those earlier today?
Yes, we did.
Minutes. Need a motion to approve the minutes from September 13, 2022, the emergency meeting, September 28, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from September 28th special meeting.
Moved by trustee DeRico, second by trustee Demo. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion to pay the bills, abstract number 4.
I'll make a motion to pay abstract number 4.
I'll second it.
Motion by trustee DeRico, second by trustee Stroud. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Let me jump here a little bit and let Lee go because he's got a meeting to go to.
I've talked to the chairman of the ZBA and the planning board, and we're gonna set up certain Wednesdays for each of them to meet rather than it's gonna be an as needed. The ZBA will meet the first Wednesday of each month, and the planning board will meet the third Wednesday of each month as needed. It'll give a little more structure, not only to the committee, the planning board and ZBA, but also any of the residents will have an idea when we'll be meeting with that. The sign permit application is complete now. With that, when we approved the sign permit law, we deleted section 120 and certain sections of 158. And I don't believe we ever put the sign law in as a regular standalone law or incorporated in the zoning. is a certain number with it. Which I think we probably should, because in the sign application, there's a spot in there that references a certain section. I don't have the act in front of me right now, but,
So what do you need from us?
I think direction on which way we need to incorporate into the, which way to rather have it a stand-alone law. I guess I refer to Jim,
It's up to preference of the village board. Your sign law, that local law was adopted and became effective August 18. So you have that chapter, I'll call it. But it's at the pleasure of the village board. Do you want it to become a part of your regular zoning, or do you want it to be a standalone law? I spoke with Lee, and I'd suggested, I think it makes more sense to be a standalone law, for obvious reasons.
What do we have to do that?
Well, I think if you, would you like it to be chapter one, a new 120?
it'd be fine. I mean, I don't have a preference on what we call it, but
Well, I mean,
We just
that
need
would
to come up
help
with a
because-
number for it, to make it stand alone.
yeah, because you had chapter 120 that was used, that's no longer in use now, so chapter 120 is still available. 120 was what had been set aside for signs, so that would be the proper chapter to be candid with you.
Do you have to do a local law for that?
Simple local law amendment, very simple,
Okay.
if that's your pleasure. I mean, your law is effective, and it is the sign law for the village. The question is, do you want it to be standalone or not? And if standalone, do you want it to be chapter 120? Pretty straightforward if you prefer it to be.
Do a local law amendment and make it chapter 120.
For that, making it
So what your
standalone.
yeah, so your preference would be to just to schedule it for your public hearing at your next month's meeting to consider the number of your sign law.
Okay.
And I'll have a public hearing notice provided to Molly, hopefully tomorrow.
We do that at 5:15?
Yeah, please. So local law, our next meeting at 5:15 PM.
So next meeting is
Do they need to
November
make a motion?
8th, which is election day.
Simple motion. Oh.
Oh.
So, do we make it,
So on election day, when is your meeting going to be set then? Will it be the
What
next
day
day?
do you wanna make our meeting next month then? The ninth?
so we can make it the
Are
Wednesday
you
the
available?
9th and public hearing at 5:15?
CP is available.
You're not available, okay? When,
I am available, but I've got a meeting, I know it's 7 o'clock that night. If I could be out of here by 6:45, I can probably be late, if that's okay.
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 Okay, so next month is November 9th.
9th,
At
5:15,
With the meeting to start immediately after,
yes.
and we need a motion for that, correct, sir? Can we have a motion for that, please?
Have a motion to change next month's meeting, please.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that, we, change the local law to 120 and, have a public hearing on November 9th at 5:15. Is that what we need?
I'll second.
So we have a motion by trustee DeRigo, second by trustee Fulmer. Have a public hearing, change local law number 120 for the sign law. The meeting will be on November 9th at 5:15 PM. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
That's all I have, unless there's some questions.
Nope. Trustee report?
Start with me. Most of my department's closed. We're moving along with the, construction under ready at the water plant. And the other thing that I am working on, is an EV charging station. We sent an email today, they needed more pictures. we're working with a Scott Jaworski at Myriad Construction in Syracuse through, National Grid. He's got what we needed, we answered his questions. He may come up here in the next week or so to see where it would be, but it would be, we're looking at the lower parking lot behind Captain Visker's, right next to the, handicap parking space, and there would be one post, but 2 charging stations right there. So we're moving forward on that, and at this point, they have what they need and are going to contact me. And that's really all I have.
The golf course is closed for the year. I'd like to thank everybody that helped out with it over the year. I know it was a rough start with all the rain in the spring in the beginning, and then all the rain that we had in the fall, but we made it work.
I got
Gordon Courts had a board meeting, and the new thing that's gonna happen in the village is, bus service is gonna come around and pick the people up at Gordon Courts and take them to Price Chopper, Dollar General, and all the stores and drop them off. And then come back, make a loop and come back and pick them up. So the residents over there are really excited about that. They're also looking to do some more activities, so they have a committee over there that's gonna look into doing some activities right on site. They go off-site to do activities, but they're looking to bring in activities right into their little communal room. Hearts for Youth is moving along with their fall programs. They've got a bunch of new programs, so they'll be putting those out online and on their website. The library extended their book sale a little bit because they had more people coming in and wanting to buy books, so they do have the books put away now, so, and the next meeting, I'll have their total of what they made. And pickleball is on the agenda for later, so that's that. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
On that one? Would people from, other people in the area be able to use the same bus, or is it just Gordon Court? Let's say if someone else is handicapped here in the village, could they go to Gordon Court and be picked up?
That's what I'm wondering too.
Okay.
And that was
Because
a
somebody's,
question we
that's gonna
were
be asked,
asking.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, thanks.
I get a call from Diane Recupero asking if the garden community group could get with us and order a couple of picnic tables and benches for the Thompson Playground. They have parents, grandparents that visit and really don't have a place to sit, so that they can sit with their kids. Plus, with the winter time, with the ice arena that the Rotary puts in, they won't have a place for the kids to set their skates or their boots, and they just want to get permission to purchase the stuff and put it down there. We want it to match the new metal fence that goes around the project. Another thing that came up was, you mentioned the parking lot at Captain Visker's, and several people have approached me about between Captain Visker's and the Sunken Rock pub, that narrow parking area, wondering if that could be made a one-way going in and you have to go up the hill, so that if guests are coming in, going up the hill towards the hospital, they make a left into the parking lot, people are not running into each other, trying to jockey for positions, trying to get in or get out. If we could put arrows on the ground with arrows so that it's one way in, that will save a bit of a headache. Any thoughts from the community?
I think that's a great idea,
I agree.
because that's gonna eliminate a lot of stop traffic.
It
It's gotta flow,
really,
you know?
it really does clog people moving back and forth in
It
that.
does, right at that stop sign, it just backs everybody up the hill. So the minute we're stopped at that sign, at the stop sign, wanting to cross the road, we're watching everybody's trying to get in that lot and come out of that lot, and it just becomes a blockage.
I agree. Is
The
that where
one
they're,
way would be perfect.
is that where they're talking about putting the car charging station is in that?
Yeah, right in that little section there. Of course, the pole is there, and the pole has what we need.
The pole has a drop from National Grid already, so.
I
it's
think
already
the
broken.
biggest problem is getting that traffic. I know that you guys are stopping people from parking on the sides, you know, by Butch's and Kathy and stuff. But the biggest thing is to keep that traffic moving. You know, I turn on the Bethune Street every day, right? And we always know it's a tourist community, so it's gonna take time to get to your own place that you're going to. But now these other people are tourists, and they're trying to navigate down through this, and everybody's getting stopped, and it gets backed up and backed up and backed up. If we can move that corner quickly, I don't think you're gonna have parking problems all along the side. I just think that the demographics should be looked at a little bit better there, that's all.
It's part of the agenda tonight for parking on Church Street and a few parking areas. Thank you. So we'll look at that. We're gonna look, we had a meeting with committee, with the board and the fire department, and there were some community reps of, is it possible from James Street going up Market around to the hospital of making that a one-way? Because people coming around, the new McSherry building for the medical, everybody wants to make a sharp turn, and you're always gonna run it, somebody's coming the other way, and it's a head-on collision.
Yep.
The other thing it would help is if the ambulance is going that way, they don't have to fight traffic coming back around. Trustee DeRigo is working on that with Jarrett.
With Jarrett, yeah.
And
Our
we,
guy was out of town today, so we couldn't get an answer
Yeah,
back.
we have this guy, a guy that's looking into this.
and we did look at, we put the squares on Church Street, the boxes. Everywhere it's in Clayton, it's boxed, theirs is 8 foot. These are 88 inches, I believe, 88, 90, somewhere in that 88, 90 region. And it is working. There's a few that just don't wanna park that way. I think once we switched and boxed it out, it did lead to more evenly flow of traffic on Church Street from Market down to James Street. Also, we looked at the poster signs that they put up about ambulance, please, no trucks, RVs, big trucks with boat trailers, and it should be compact, vehicles parked on Church Street.
Only compact. And we got time, we're gonna work on getting.
We got
regular
time
main
to,
signs and put
I
them
just
on
wanna
the
make
poles.
it public that
Yeah.
we're working on that,
Yeah.
so that by next spring, we're not, oh my God, we should have done this back in the fall. No, we're gonna start it now, so that before next spring, we'll have something set so that you have smaller vehicles to park there. So we don't wanna take away parking for the business customers. You business owners need the customers. That's how you make your living, and that's how it thrives the village.
I actually think turning the parking spaces into enclosed rectangles worked better than the signs. And we were all driving around at strange times during the busy season, checking to see, and I would say 99% of the people that parked were parking inside the square, and once the state fixes the middle of the road stripe, I think it'll be a lot easier with everything else that we're working on to make happen.
Why can't the road be widened?
What's that?
Why can't Church Street be widened? It's a state road. Why can't New York State get involved and be like, hey, this is a
So,
hazard here, like, let's fix it.
and widen the road?
Yeah, why can't you go into
So,
the
so
distillery
I'm
sidewalk
gonna play the
and
devil's
dancing dog?
advocate, you own Dark Island Spirits, and I'm gonna take away your
I understand
sidewalk
that,
and
but if you're
everything.
making it safer for traffic to go down and your pedestrians to walk down the sidewalk.
Here's another thing that's, if you really didn't notice, go down Church Street, between Dancing Dog and Dark Island Spirits, get a long tape measure and measure the yellow line. It's not in the middle,
Well, why is that?
because New York State painted it wrong.
Yeah.
It's about 18 inches off center. And we've already yes, believe it or not, it's off center. And we've already contacted, we do it by satellite. Well, your satellite's wrong.
Another question is, who's gonna regulate the trucks and the boat trailers parking on Church Street?
This is where, over the winter, we need to come up with a local law,
Okay,
and if the residents say, yes, we need to do this, then we can pass a local law. And if you don't follow the local law, you'll get a ticket.
I think very rarely, now, I've lived on Church Street for 4 or 5 years. I've never once seen a boat trailer and a boat parked on Church Street. Never once.
I
Never
been here
once.
40 years, and every so often, it's like, you really had to park that there? It's,
RVs is see a lot, yeah.
it's, again, it's something that every so often it happens, and when it does happen, it's at the wrong moment.
gotcha. I have another question about,
And just to get
Church
back to
Street
your
too.
question about our meter patrolman will enforce that.
okay,
Once we change it over and there is a truck there, he's gonna get a heavy fine.
so,
So just to,
coming from like the area of the Dancing Dog and the distillery and everything where it's really narrow right there, why aren't there any crosswalks?
State,
Because
State
you
issue.
have a crosswalk at Church Street and James,
I understand that, where the intersection.
and then because, like you just said, that's a state highway.
Well, I mean, you got pedestrians running in and out of cars and
Yep.
everything right there, causing more of a problem.
Mhm.
If you had a
And,
crosswalk at Bethune Street where the Verizon building is, and at Walnut Street going across the road, I mean, that kind of
and,
seems like it kind of alleviates some of the problem, but.
The
Yep.
problem with it at Walton Street is that you're right at the bottom of a hill.
I understand.
And so, it would be pretty dangerous to encourage people to cross there, I would think.
like the one that's right by where Mr. Stewart used to live. It's unbelievable, the amount of people, you have a sign and a sign and a crosswalk, and people starting to walk through. They just drive right through. They don't stop for the pedestrian. So if we add more crosswalks downtown, are the cars gonna stop? Probably not, and there too. It's,
It took New York State 2 years to do the study to find where they wanted to put that one crosswalk.
yes, 2
2
years.
years to get
I'll
that
tell you, in
crosswalk.
Florida, you don't drive through a crosswalk, you go to jail.
Well, something really needs to be done, because I'll tell you, as a business owner, and these guys are business owners as well, we drive into the community all day long, and we try to drive as safe as possible, because everybody that's on the street, in our eyes, is a tourist. They're here to spend money. So, we are careful navigating through downtown. But I will tell you, we don't get the same respect back from the tourists. We get tourists that jar out in front of you and wanna sideswipe your mirrors and so on, and, we try to be patient and calm about it, but it's really a bottleneck. It's pretty bad.
so twice this summer, I'm driving down the street, and, I'm in front of Bay Artisans, and this happened twice. I'm waiting for this huge truck to back out, I didn't want them to crash into me.
Yeah.
So here is this van, one time it was a van from New Jersey, they went zooming around me, almost hit the person coming this way, okay? Then it happened again, I just got used to it, well, I guess they're in a hurry, they're passing me. So it's a tourist, okay? The other day, I stopped right in front of Riley's because I saw this man on his phone coming down the steps. I totally stopped, because I thought, he's gonna either, I'm gonna hit him, or he's gonna walk into me. He walked into the side of my car.
Wow.
And he just stood there, on the phone. So I went back at American Narrows to go talk to my daughter,
Yeah.
that she manages that store. Here he is, that's a handicap parking lot back there. So he looks at me and says, where's your handicap sign? You can't park here. I pulled it out. And I said, where is yours? And he says, well, I don't have one. I said, this is a handicap parking spot. So he proceeded to give me a lecture. Then he was like so shocked that I didn't like walk around. I walked right into my daughter's store. And I said, there's a crazy man out there. But he actually came right down those stairs and he walked right in my car. And I got out of my car to make sure that he was okay, and plus I didn't want him to dent my car. But I know exactly what you're saying. They don't look. They open you'll be right there. You gotta watch all the time. They open their
They're
door.
looking at you like you're there for the same reason as the tourists.
Yeah.
They don't realize that there's actually residents and people that live there, right? So they're looking at you like you're just another one of them.
Yep.
And it's not, so.
No.
But we try to navigate, I have employees, right? So my employees have to go to Bonnycastle, or they have to go to Napa. So they're driving all day, hop in a vehicle and head down, right? So they go all the way around Garlock. They avoid that corner in all ways, right? So we try to do the best we can to navigate through to keep it safe for the tourists, because we want them and their money, you know? So it's just a matter of getting that bottleneck sort of safer.
Okay.
DPW.
Yes. So, we still have the water on at the dock and the pavilion. Let's hope the next couple of days here that it stays warm enough for the October festival, the Halloween festival, so we can have the water stayed on. We fixed the sweeper again. It's one last hurrah for it. I got some numbers on a new sweeper if we choose to go that route, so we can start the process. I'll hand them to you guys whenever you're interested in looking at them. We had that issue over to the water, or the sewer plant when we had that backflow preventer go. So once we shut the water down, we had actually, got a slug stuck in the water meter, so we had to put a new 4-inch water meter in. It no longer worked after we had shut it down, it plugged up. So that is changed and back in and back online. We just started hauling our winter sand for the streets. I probably hauled in maybe 200 ton as it is right now. We started to cut the brush around the corner on Bethune Street. I'm hoping that the new homeowner, so I don't ruin the rest of the bushes that are further back, if he decides to pretty them up or whatever they want to do with the remaining.
I'm trying to get hold of him. I was told originally they were gonna take him down, and I was told again they were gonna take him down, so I reached out with a phone call, and I'm hoping to hear this week, and I'll let you know.
Okay. The sign did get put up at the park, down to Cap Thompson. I know I had asked last month about if it was gonna be put up. Fiaco did come in, and put it in. The only other thing that we discussed about the benches, I don't know, we have benches down to the barn, and I'm not quite sure within that project, and if there was benches allocated for that during that project through Fiaco. So we'd have to look into that and see if there is something already, down at the barn in all those crates that came for these two projects.
That's under streetscape, so.
Right, yeah, so.
So regarding the benches, there are some extra benches included with the Ready project,
That's what I thought.
if you need.
Were any included under streetscape for that?
I'm not sure on that project.
I'll check with, Charles if it be or.
They're calling for some cold weather next week. We're probably gonna dress one truck by our 1.5 ton, just in case.
Too early.
We all know that we played the game with our kids, having them trick or treat and snow. So, that's always how I judge my weather around here, so.
Really?
Yeah.
but,
It changed.
yeah. So, but that's it, like I say, we're trying to wrap things up. I got some, blacktopping spots I wanna get done. And again, we'll talk later about the pickleball, we discussed that, but, chassis and adjointments in the concrete and railing, it should be getting done here next week and a half. I have a culvert pipe I gotta replace on Adams Drive that is higher than the landscape above it, so there's water that's all backed up through there, so. I've got a couple big projects I'd like to wrap up before snow flies. That's it.
Chavas's looks good, how much longer is it gonna take to do that? Did you use all of those white blocks
Yeah.
there?
So I got two
Just
end,
the corner?
yeah, I got two end caps to pour, and then once I do that, it'll be the concrete sidewalk and railing that'll go in at the same time. And then we'll get the blacktop put in. But yeah,
Yeah.
so there's gonna be a 4-foot sidewalk I'll put in there.
Good.
There's a culvert in my yard too that looks like it sits higher than the road.
Does that,
Yeah,
will it?
on Northern Ave side.
At one time, that road was supposed to be that wide when it was first made.
Yeah,
White pole to storm drain is
yeah,
the legal limit, the legal size of that road up there.
sure.
No police report.
Mr.
Full
Mayor?
business.
I forgot to mention one thing back earlier in the meeting, but I'd like to mention it now. As you know, I put in, sidewalks all the way through my property, and I didn't send you a bill for the gravel and the poling out of the sidewalk, but I am gonna send you a bill so I can get paid for that, for the gravel and the tear out. Thank you.
Full business. Ready streetscape projects. Ready, Gregor.
Good evening.
How you doing?
So last week, there was a progress meeting. Last Wednesday, there was a progress meeting for the Ready projects. Everything is on schedule. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend last Wednesday, but, I'd like to try to schedule a time that we could do a walkthrough of the projects, just to see everything that's going on, get a firsthand update on the progress. Everything's on schedule right now. The piles are done at the wharf, and start to work on the knee wall, so they can, place the structural steel. They're also working at the water filtration plant, getting ready for the, raising the floor in there. So over the last month, I've got one pavement application from DC Builders for the board's consideration tonight. It's a total of $139,175, and it's, just has to do with the work at the wharf.
You signed it. You guys, I put it through the meeting tonight.
Oh, you already had, okay, I've got copies too for signature.
So we don't need a motion, we've already.
So,
Well, you didn't make a motion to it yet, but it went through with the bill today.
Okay, I'll make a motion to sign the pay application from DC Builders for the Ready project.
I'll second it.
Motion by trustee Fulmer, second by trustee DeRigo. To sign the pay app for DC Builders. All in favor?
Okay. This was in the file that you gave us, the office.
Yes, the mayor just has to sign those for Gregor.
Yep.
One set of, one or two.
Yeah, it should be just tabbed.
Is it one or two sets? You go back.
I have 3, so the village
Two.
can keep one.
Two sets, go back with him. Thank you.
You had a meeting a couple weeks ago when I was down in DC, and that was, you had a special meeting with the change order.
Right, that was, we had a paper showing us that we had a $92,000 credit so far with the Ready program, and we needed to, since we, tell me if I get this right, since we are raising the floor at the water plant building, there was a wall and a half that were going to come out someday, if we ever get enough grant funding, to redo the water plant. So it made sense to take that wall out now, rather than rip up brand new concrete, you know, hopefully when another one of these grants comes through for water plant infrastructure, so that's what that was. That was estimated to be roughly around $15,000, which dropped our, credit at that point to somewhere around 70. And that's all that we did that day, was to make that change, because it didn't make sense to leave that wall there and have to rip it out
Yeah,
later.
the contractor was, ready to start the work.
Yeah, it was like
So
the
that was
next
the other thing,
morning.
they've been doing some abatement at the water treatment plant, so everything, really to keep the contractor moving along, it was, important to have that meeting to address that.
Right, and
They,
everybody was notified, and we didn't want to hold him up, because if you hold him up, it costs dollars.
yes.
That's all that was, we didn't do anything else.
No, that's moving along quite nicely now. The unfortunate part of marinas and so forth, the river people, that the water is so low, but with the wharf project, it was a big help too, because it saves on hiring underwater divers to weld and so forth, correct?
Yeah, for the steel work that they're doing, it's definitely easier having the water elevation down. Yeah, for the welding especially.
What else with ready? That's about it.
That's about it. If,
For now.
we could schedule something either this week or early next week and just do a quick walk through the project, so everyone's up to speed on what's done and what's coming.
We'll talk a little bit afterwards, and I'll shoot you a text in the morning.
Yeah, just let me know. Tim's been on site nearly every day, so.
Except for you sending them a schmo today.
Yeah.
And I have reached out in regards to that in the wharf. I have, last week, reached out to, Pearl of the Sea Cruises, the ones that go up and down, and the port of call is Clayton, to see once that the, wharf is finished, if we can also become a official port of call. And that's a process. But
To get somebody here, that
to
would be
get,
nice.
well, to get those ships to be able to dock,
Doc.
which would be a wonderful thing.
Good.
Streetscape, pretty much the playground, Thompson Playground is completed. Like we said, the garden group is gonna buy picnic tables and benches for it. Sidewalk out front, sidewalks up by the park. Holland Street dock, that's another story. The ramp that was put in is too steep. Typical ramps for boat launches are 12 degrees. I know 12 degrees is not much, but 12 degrees is what's required, and the one that's there is more than 16 degrees, which if you're backing your trailer in and you tip, it's, all you're gonna do is metal on cement. It's too steep. So I've spoken with Mr. Sweet about trying to get that correct. We're still 2 months later waiting on the railings for the cement ramp, and it's out of water. The sandbar right there, which we still have a permit for it for dredging for this project, but again, our contractor, our design engineer, EDR, we need to have a meeting with them about getting all this corrected. So with that, and the boaters trying to get the vessels out, we're not even gonna touch Crossman Street boat launch until Holland Street's available. It just, averaging 20 boats a day at Crossman Street, we can't not have them, have a place to go to. Number 2, pickleball courts. Yes, Jarrett has met with, the town, has met with, Craig Wills. They have a plan on how to grade the area, and we're hopefully get what's the coat that they put down first?
So, as it stands right now, you know, and everybody, we do a lot of in-house work, and we're, you know, we get the town to help us, but everybody's gotta understand that the town is, again, I just caught them up in Depaulville the other day, still blacktopping at 6 o'clock at night, you know, everybody's busy.
Yep.
I met with Greg Wills, we looked at it, he eyed the grade, everything's gonna have to come up a foot on that side, which means the roadway is gonna have a swale in it of over a foot. So there's gonna be some engineering and work into this by his part to make this work. The top coat is not, we use like a type top 7 on our roads and stuff. This is like a type 9 with, it's almost like a stone dust and oil. I mean, there's practically no stone at all in it. It's a very specialty, milling, expensive. Barrett said that if they're doing a type 9 surface, they could sneak ours in where we could hopefully get all the stone out of it and stuff that, you know, we're gonna try to make this work. It's just, I want everybody to know that we are working on it, and there is a lot entailed into this. It's just, and as Greg Will said, he goes, you don't wanna throw $20,000-$25,000 at this, and then 2 years later, you have a crack down the middle of it. There's not gonna be a lot of happy people. So, you know,
So the worst thing that happens is that we get it all set up and you can't do it till spring.
Right, and right now, because stone holds the heat, so a lot of these places are using binder and stuff, and this is, when you go ahead and just use a straight 7 or a 9, there's no basis to keep that heat, so they lose the heat as they're driving. So a lot of the top coats are going to the wayside this time of year. They use a binder which has a bigger rock, which holds the heat.
Well, I think everybody would understand that, especially if it snows as you're planning for Halloween.
So, but we're in the works, and, we're moving along, and we're trying.
New business. Number 1 is collection of occupancy tax from short-term rental properties. We received a phone call from Phil Reed, county legislator for Alexandria Bay and the river. Received a copied letter from the town of Clayton in regards to Airbnbs and so forth. The county is looking to add a bed tax to the Airbnbs, the same as what they do for your hotels, motels, rooms. And they're looking for a letter of support from the village of Alexandria Bay. I know in the village, we have approximately 50-ish Airbnbs. And they're asking for our support for a letter to the county.
You need a motion for that?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to, support the bed tax for the rental properties.
I'll second it.
Cindy?
She seconded, yeah.
So motion by trustee DeRigo, second by trustee Demo, authorizing the mayor to sign a letter of support for the Airbnb tax. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
One of the Airbnbs are not gonna be Airbnbs anymore because they're not making money. We've got so many here that, I know 3 that are renting out for, like a lease, because they didn't make money this summer. So, you might see a decrease, you might see some of these Airbnbs opening up to renters instead of just getting their money from the summer, so.
Number 2 is Alex Bay Figure Skating Club Community Room for department use December 3rd, 2022. Skate Club would like once again to use the community room for our annual Chris Kringle Mart the first Saturday of December. This year will be December 3rd. Please let me know the next board meeting date so someone can attend. Also, we would like to give permission for the kitchen with the fire department. And that's Delana Dunn, figure skating treasurer.
Mrs. Jeanette's here. Do you have anything to say?
No.
Okay.
Is the room available that day?
Oh, yeah, yes, we always keep that
Yeah, we
for
keep
that
that.
weekend.
I'll make a motion to allow the Alexandria Bay Figure Skating Club to use the community room and fire department, checking with the fire department about the kitchen on, December 3rd.
I'll second it.
Motion by trustee Palmer, second by trustee Stroud, to allow the figure skating and fire department use community room. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Number 3, we talked, office gets busy during normal busy days, and it's imperative that the employees have a period of time so that they can have their lunch free of interruption. So we would like to officially have the village office closed Monday through Friday from 12 to 12:30, so that the employees can take a lunch break.
I'll make a motion to close the village office from 12 to 12:30
I'll
on a
second.
daily basis.
First by trustee Fulmer, second by trustee DeRego. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried.
And, the sign is on the door, and anybody that wants to stop and drop a water bill payment or real estate taxes, there is a drop box that's there that they'll check when they come back from lunch.
Okay, I'm gonna, a little change up here. Pay app ready, we already did that. Number 6, Red Cross use of building March 23rd, 2023. American Red Cross would like permission to use it March 23rd for a day of blood drive.
May I comment, please?
Mm-hmm.
So, just so everyone knows, we don't have a schedule for events until after the first of the year, because we wait and we do all the villages, well, the chamber events and everything, which we don't have a problem doing this. I just wanted to let you know that we do make them aware that we don't schedule it yet until after the first of the year. That being said, they can't use it. I'm just saying that I did inform them that we generally wait until after the first. She said they have a cutoff, though, that they have to know for the Red Cross, is why they were asking.
So we need a motion to allow them to use it as long as.
Pending,
Yeah, pending any.
Pending
village
the
event.
date
Yeah,
it's open on March 23rd.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
motion by trustee Fulmer, second by trustee Stroud, to allow the Red Cross use of the building on March 23rd, 2023 for blood drive. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Technical Services, New York Port.
We have in front of us, we talked last month and, an agreement with, BCA and Hartley Slicer, what's the name of her group?
She's with LaBella.
LaBella Community Planning Group, for $8,500. And we also have another one, from Dank to use their services, which is, to be billed on an hourly basis. And, that's how I would like to do the one with, Dank, the rates in there and to bill that out. And what this would do is, these are the people that help the other towns and villages around us do the paperwork and applications that you need to do the DRI funding or the New York Forward. We will we'll have at least 2 meetings. Once we start this, we put an announcement in the paper that right now we're in round 7. This year was round 7. Round 7 was announced very late in the summer, and the cutoff was September 23rd. We put in the paperwork that we'd like to try to do this, but there was just no way to get anything done that we wouldn't embarrass ourselves. We have taken the time now, and we're gonna have a meeting, that's just number one. The first one is just gonna be an informational meeting for people who live and own property and businesses in the villages. We're going to have a map that shows, we have, with their suggestions, extended what we call the downtown. So, downtown is not just Church and James and Market and Miller. Downtown, for the purposes of this New York Forward or DRI funding, it's gonna go, you know, or where it is right now, it's gonna go up into Otter Creek and, you know, up to Garlock's and those businesses in that area, down around. It's gonna go out to Pine Tree Point, which is part of is in the village, and that's a project that they are going to, they're interested in starting in the next year to 2 to 3. So it widens our scope, and from a village perspective, if we're out at Pine Tree Point, okay, so we then do a walking, biking path from Pine Tree Point to all over the village as far as we can. We buy a trolley that picks people up at the hotels and takes them and drops them into the downtown and out to Kinney Drugs and to the Big M, and then comes back in and around. What the state requires in this is people, they don't even call them business owners anymore, they call them stakeholders. They need people to participate in this project. It is more important to them that we have stakeholders from the community than the village do $6 million worth of projects. They want to see that. When we did a drive around, you know, there were buildings that, you know, the guy from the state, you want to change the facade of your building? You should be on the list. Do you have a first floor business and you have 2 floors empty? Do you want to turn it into commercial space or housing? Because they know that housing is in short supply in the village. So they will pay, that's something that they will consider. You know, Bonnie Castle, River Edge, Pine Tree, anybody that ends up falling in that, what we will then call the village is encouraged to participate with us. And at this point, the most that the state has said out loud that they will contribute is 40%, I believe. And anybody can go, if you go onto the New York State website, just put in New York State DRI, and you can look at all of the applications that have been put in so far for rounds 1 through 5. I don't think that 6 is up yet on the website, but you can see, and what's to our benefit is that you can see the applications that people have put in already, the towns and the villages around us. Clayton has put one in for 3 years, so we're a little behind here in trying to get some of this money. Watertown got $10 million. You can also look at, there's links to look at everybody's applications. So you can see, okay, why this one got this and who's written better, and there's a lot of that. And the major thing is the participation from the stakeholders in the community, because as they realize, and we do too, without the stakeholders, the village will not grow into the future. So we need people, and we're going to have meetings to do that. We're going to start, I printed some stuff, we'll make copies and we'll put it at the village office if you want to just come and pick it up. It's 4 pages that tells you about DRI or New York Forward, or you can just go online. But the interesting thing is that, you know, you can go the last 5 years and see who put in applications, who won, Tupper Lake won, Watertown won, you know, but a couple of years, these applications are like 120 to 160 pages, and I think now they're going to start.
It's down to 20 pages now.
You can only put 20 pages in, but what happens is, and correct me, Gregor, if I'm wrong, once you, next year, when it's announced again for round 7, we put a letter of intent in again, that we are interested in doing it, they'll give you the deadline. This year it was announced at the end of July, and you had to have your app in by September 23rd. So we will be ready when it says go. And once they get you, your application, am I correct in saying they will also help you have meetings and connect with stakeholders?
Yeah, there's a phase 2, what I would call phase 2 of the process, and that's more engagement with the community and more involvement in what the projects are.
So they're really encouraging people in the villages, you know, to get involved. So if you need to do something that's gonna cost you $1, and when you're finished, you get reimbursed 40 cents, you know, that's a help. And you do not get reimbursed until the project is done, because apparently in the past, they have had projects that have won the money and people haven't done the project. So that money goes back into the kitty when it isn't spent that way. But over the next couple of months, that's what this paperwork, yes, that is to help us do, is to get ready for that. And I didn't bring my, but,
This one's 30 pages.
yeah, you could print 700 pages offline if you want. But the important thing is, when we do this, we're gonna put it in the paper, we're gonna announce it's gonna be on the website, we're going to be calling the business owners and saying, we're having a meeting on this date, and we need you to come and see if you can, participate in this to make the village better. The worst thing that happens is
The residents around the business is gonna shoot it down, because we've been fighting that on Bethune Street, and that would be a great thing for Bethune Street, but you're gonna have fights from the residents, you're not gonna
well,
wanna.
I don't know that the residents, you know, to a certain degree, as long as it doesn't negatively impact the village.
It shouldn't.
No, it shouldn't. You know, there's a lot of money out there that we're gonna be able to have, and if you, like, it has been the last couple of years, $10 million. This year, they made it 4.5s and something else. Well, just imagine, even if we just got 4.5 million to do, you know, businesses with that and the other grants that we are getting to make things better. And even if you go a year and you don't win next year, so we change the cover, change things around, look at again, who won what, and you do it again. The other thing that it does for us is that we then have in our hands the paperwork to apply for any other grant out there that may be in this same, you know, area that they are looking for. And it's not the village, it's not a grant to have the village do infrastructure.
Right.
You know, we're going after all kinds of other grants for that. This one is to get the community and the village to work together. Yes, the stakeholders, we have to keep saying that word. But whether we want to do it or not, all of us or some of us or none of us, it's time to move the village kicking and screaming into the new century. And there's money out there to do this.
Gotta spend money to get money, though.
And we would have it. This can be reused. So
you're making the motion?
I am making the motion to accept the VCA and Bonesteel. I keep forgetting.
Hardly Bonesteel.
Bonesteel, the group, theirs, and then the DANK application is hourly, and we need to, with the DANK, monitor that one so that we don't go crazy. But we need them to work together with us to produce the application that we will need for next year, because this will go on over the winter. The meetings that we have, and meetings with different people, and, you know, we'll come and say, okay, what do you want to do? And it's going to be important.
That's a long motion.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. I guess you can tell I'm into this. I'm really into this. The motion is, let's approve the BCA agreement and the DANK agreement.
And I'll second it.
I'm sorry. I'm so wrapped up in this. You know, we have the grants out there for water and wastewater, infrastructure, you know, that we're hoping. And I bug Gregor twice a week, and he got my email today and got an email back that said, Judy, we may get the paperwork we need to start the process on this $3 million water tower we want to put up before the price goes up again. So, you know, if nothing else, I can be a gentle pain in the neck in that way. But it's important to me. It can't be just the village. We have to work together to make it happen.
And there's 5 businesses that have already said they
Oh,
will
there's
be here.
yeah.
Yeah, there's more than
There's
that
more than
now,
that.
so.
So we have a
people-
motion.
That was my motion.
Yeah, I second
Trustee
it.
Palmer, second by trustee Demo, excuse me.
Whoever I am.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it looks like you got one.
That was his effort to shut me up.
But when grants come out, this is not abnormal. They announce a grant and then they want your paperwork within usually 3 months. So they purposely do that because, like, say I find a grant and I get all excited about it. And then I see when the due date is. So if it tells me it's due in 2 months or 3 months, I don't have enough time. Nobody's got enough time to get their act together. So that's why you do them ahead. So when, boom, that big light comes on and it's announced, you're ready to go. So that's the reasoning behind we need the help now to get this
To be
grant
ready
the
for
next
next
time.
year. Thank you.
I think the last thing we have is, bond resolution for the amount of $316,266.20, for the village and estoppel notice.
We're not doing that.
We're not doing
They're
it?
not prepared yet.
We're not.
They don't have the rest of the paperwork or the blueprint, or any of that ready. So that's on hold, please. I just attached it just in case.
That's it. Public concern.
Go ahead, Chris. Like a lot of people, we've for years battled not being able to go to the post office on the one free window of the day that we have. So if the village office is gonna be closed every day during that one and only window that we have, can we find a way to extend one of the weekdays by an hour? Like Governor Savings, for example, they stay open at 1 hour later on Friday so that people can get in and get their stuff done. Because, I mean, I speak for myself and probably others. I mean, I can't possibly be the only person who does any business of any kind during the week. So it would be nice to be able to have some time. Otherwise, I'd have to leave work early or something like that. So something worth considering, I would think. The other thing is to go back on when we were talking about traffic and safety. I didn't want to interrupt because we move forward, but 3 spots that are, I think, of concern is at each end of Miller Ave. There's, you know, if you're turning on Walton Street from Miller Ave, especially when there's a camper parked there, it happens all summer long. It is impossible to turn there without just, you know, creeping your way into the middle of the road. And there's a pole, there's an electrical pole right there. It would be so inexpensive and effective to put a traffic mirror there. So one of those wide angle ones so you could see the traffic coming. I think it would be, and you know, also on the other side, when you're coming down the hill and you have Alex Mosher's shop here and you have the Linda's Patchwork on the other side, it's a real bare turn there. And I think there's a pole on the other side of the street there that could accommodate a mirror that would make turning there safer. And the other spot that's a real problem is turning, I deliberately avoid this all the time. If you are turning onto Church Street from Otter Street, it is scary how fast people come underneath the arch. And I know, Bubba, you live on the corner there, you see how fast people drive there. Especially if you've got a boat trailer that you're hauling from, you know, down that road. I've done it tons of times and it's unsafe. And we could have a mirror on the inside of the arch there. I think it's just such an inexpensive way to allow people to see if there's a car coming. So, something worth considering. Please.
Good idea.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right, I have one, nowhere else is going. Can somebody please explain to me why we have the worst internet service in the entire country.
Yeah.
There's only one person.
I struggle with this every day, and I see the Verizon fiber is across the street from our office, it's down the street from my house, we can't have it. We can't have spectrum.
You know,
Why?
I have,
They're
how many
stifling
times
the
have I called,
development of this community.
I've called, the Assemblyman's office, I've called,
Me too, I call all the
I've
time.
called the Senator Ritchie's office, and, you know, New York State has sunk money into better internet. Oh, they gave a local company money for better service that we didn't get. It's pathetic.
We got
to
something, but
say
it
the
wasn't
least.
internet.
Now, I called Verizon, they're putting, one of the control panels for the Fios will be on the pole across the street from my house, where the line comes to my house, I will not get it.
No, we got one across the street.
Because you have a choice of HughesNet, Castle Cable, Verizon DSL, and they give you a list of garbage.
Yeah,
but-
I've called them all.
But it's like, holy smokes, you have to be kidding me, right? And you're right, we have, now, one of the town councilmen has Verizon DSL with the high-speed enhanced, and at his place at the end of Dingman Point, his speed test was 0.62.
That's dial-up.
Well, do you realize Castle Cable gets their internet from Canada? If you track the IP address, it.
I don't have Castle Cable, so I don't know anything about them.
So
No wonder you don't have.
we're getting our internet from Canada.
Nick Schaefer has Fios.
Yeah.
Oh,
I heard the
listen.
hospital has files.
Yep, there's certain, there's,
Isn't there something you can do about
I'll
this?
tell you,
I got AT&T.
we run on.
We
a-
have called different companies. I have been to Verizon, I have stopped supervisors, working on polls.
So you can't, as a board of directors, you can't authorize a second license for cable TV here?
I'm sorry?
That's the problem.
I'm sorry?
You can't authorize a second license for communication?
Nobody will come in the
I
village
don't think-
because of the contract with Castle Cable that was signed previous mayor, and it was for 10 or 15 years.
I think
And
it's-
it's due up in
I think 2025.
25.
But
So what's the cost to kick them out?
Yeah, what's the cost?
For service, which.
No, they're asking, what would it take for us to say, go away?
For service.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
What has to happen is that
There's stipulations.
we need to have our attorney look at that
So
contract.
as a business downtown.
Yeah, I looked at that several months ago and wrote an opinion letter for the board. And I mean, it's been months now.
Yeah.
I don't remember the specifics, but with that contract that was entered into, my recollection was, yes, you could trigger the scenario of getting another company. The problem is, no company would touch it with a 10-foot pole, because if they tried to come in, they'd be obligated to pay all of the costs of the infrastructure for the outgoing cable company, and it was all tied in together. So the problem wasn't so much, can you terminate your contract? I don't wanna get into it too much in the public realm, but the real danger was some third party coming in would be obligated to pay all that infrastructure cost. It'd be cost prohibitive. You're not gonna get somebody else that will do that until you get to the end of the contract. Near the end of the contract, it's a different ballgame, because then all of a sudden they don't get harnessed to those extra costs.
I think the infrastructure is the biggest problem.
Or,
It needs to be replaced.
there is one outlet, and it's gonna, there is community broadband. But it's village gonna, it is out there in certain areas where the community builds a village-wide broadband service. It is possible, I've talked to a few people about it, a couple of engineers, but
Mayor, it seems to me a bit capricious that they can offer service to 2 or 3 people in town. They have gotta be held to task. Those people should either have their service taken out, the hospital should be disconnected. If the rest of the community can't have it, then get out.
Spectrum runs to the school, Watertown Savings Bank, and I think they might do the hospital, but that's all that
I believe we're just
Spectrum will
being
do.
pushed around. I think we need to, the board of directors and its attorney need to go and find out why.
Yeah.
This guy is bullying everybody at that table. They're just pushing us around, and they have been since I moved here. And it just, we are not going to get, they're stifling development because remote workers are all over the country now. They're all over the world.
Every boater that lives here in the summer is remote.
As a business downtown, we take probably 75 to 100 credit card transactions a day for gas and stuff. And go in, put the card in, all of a sudden, beep, beep, no internet, right? So now the customer's out there waiting to pay his $300 gas bill, and he's like, I've gotta get off the dock, another boat's coming in. You're waiting for internet to get your money, right?
We fight that with all.
We fight that every day, no internet, internet's out. So, it's a big concern.
And we installed the internet in all the hotels in town, and I can tell you, almost every guest has better internet at their homes from where they came than they do here on
And they come
vacation.
here and they go,
It goes
"Suck."
terrible. That's ridiculous.
I mean, I have $65 a month and I'm getting 3 meg.
I canceled
I might as well be on dial-up.
I don't even have that. It was
So, all I'm saying is, it just seems like we're all getting bullied.
Yes,
It seems like
exactly.
if.
Well, it needs to be more reliable, for one, you know, it's never reliable at your busiest time of the day. You're in there, you know, you got 75 people in your store, you're running around, and then all of a sudden you go to stick the card in, there's no internet. You know, it just slows down the whole day.
So what internet service do you have?
We are Castle Cable.
Hassle.
Lorraine, what do you guys have?
We've got Council Cable, and we've tried to do our Facebook Live show. In the
Oh,
beginning,
yeah.
we just, every time we called them, they say, well, you need,
spend more money.
spend more money.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
so we're at the top now, and still it's not good. It's
Same
not
here.
good.
Yeah, we raised ours to the highest meg that we can get, and we still end up with no internet, still can't run a credit card, still can't collect your money.
And you're paying,
After a while,
and you're paying almost $200 a month.
We're paying a lot.
If you
We're
compare it
paying more
to
than
the
that.
cable company, it's less, way less than that.
Can't a community say, look, we're not getting what we paid for? My
Sandy, what do
son
you
had-
have at JK?
I have Castle Cable and I've never had a problem. I run credit cards, bing, 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 I mean, on a Friday
See,
night.
maybe with.
You're lucky.
Yeah, I'm like,
You're
man,
real
I want
lucky.
to pay nothing.
Your service must be
I don't
stronger
feel it
there
shut me
than
off.
us here.
Cause we're down in the valley here, that's why.
Yeah, your service must be better.
It just doesn't make sense that some places can have it and other places
I
can't
just
have
think-
it.
Well, the thing is, down in the valley, it has
yeah.
nothing to do with it, because it's all fiber.
Yeah,
I mean, on fiber out there, they've run fiber into the village, that's what they got that big grant for, so it has nothing to do with, you know,
I mean, quite frankly,
microwave or
we-
that sort of thing.
I think when mine doesn't go through, I think it's from system overload, because it always happens when you see the things, everything's booming and busy all over the place, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's no internet. And I think it's just from the supply and demand,
And
quite frankly, with you.
and my demand is at night.
Right.
So my demand is different than you guys during the
Yeah,
day.
true. Yeah.
But at nighttime, I mean, I've had a few issues, but normally they were equipment or internal.
Right.
I really don't have any problem with them. And my motel customers are okay with their Wi-Fi.
Well, is it impossible that you as a board of directors can write a letter to Verizon and say, we want you to disconnect all of your customers? If you can't provide it to the entire community, we want the rest of your accounts that are here disconnected. And see what happens.
I will volunteer
I will
to
work
work
with
on
you on
this,
that if you want help.
because that's part of the DRI New York Forward, dragging the village into the future. If you don't have
Yeah.
Wi-Fi, you're not in the future.
We're back to the
So I
old
will,
country is what we are.
I'll
I mean, quite
volunteer.
frankly, I think Castle Campbell pulled a pretty dirty deal by getting that contract like that, because they know what problem it's caused and it's monopolized it.
Is there a joke?
It got approved, so.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for listening.
I got AT&T, I don't have problems with my internet for some reason.
How do you have AT&T?
5G or 4G.
Yeah,
Yeah, through my,
yeah, you can get it,
My
you can get it through your phone
DirecTV.
plan.
DirecTV. I got DirecTV, and then I got, AT&T is a
Carrier.
Carrier.
You're
I
not
used to have
supporting,
that.
you're not supporting 200 or 300 users.
Well, as
Yeah,
a business,
yeah.
we're looking for
Well,
a
that's it.
speed,
That's why I don't have problems.
guarantee, you know.
Anything
no
else
Alright.
for public concern? All right, motion to adjourn?
Do we need to go into executive? Did we skip number 4?
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right.
That's
Number 4,
exec-
accounting firm
Motion to go into
treasurer.
executive to discuss that.
Okay,
Good night, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So.
We need a second to my
I'll
motion.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
My balls are starting to go off.
Castle Cable, watch out, here we go.
Here we come.
Exactly. I'll go to the bathroom.
You need,
Yeah.
And we'll sign your other one and
Yep.
send that over. So,
I'll
actually prepare
an agreement.
formal agreement.
agreement.
you need to?
Good night, folks.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Unless you need to.
Electrical, air
I
conditioning.
got one.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Nothing, that's not a word. You're fine.